Good morning. Welcome to No Strings Attached Street Ministry. This is the prayer van. I've been trying to do a little bit of cooking series and things to help people that live in their vans and on the road, especially without refrigeration. I know refrigeration is always the toughest thing for a lot of people to handle. So they'll use ice chest or a little cooler or something like that. But, you know, they feel that they can't live without refrigeration. Well, yes, in a way you can, just for a long period of time. But if you learn to make things out of your food storage preps, you can actually have the good quality of life and still be able to stay out at for some time. One thing I think that a lot of people should really get involved in is regular old mason jars. See, this here is just a regular mason jar. This is a half of a quart. So two of these are 1 quart. And I use these because of my size, and plus I can get them in my little cooler to help extend my life on mine just a little bit longer. But the thing that a lot of people, say, well, Jim, what do you mean by food storage? Well, food storage could be anything. Seeds, with these little jars, you can sprout seeds. Do your sprouts and always have fresh vegetables on hand. You can do beans and alfalfa sprouts and you name it. There's all kinds of different seeds out there that you can get at bulk prices. And all you do is take the mason jar, take the hard lid out of it, and lay a piece of screen down on there and screw it down. Flood it for about 6 hours one day, the first day, with water. Dump that water out. Then about twice a day for the next 4 to 6 days, you come back and you just rinse it with a little bit of water. Just rinse it, dump the water out, turn the thing upside down, let it drain out. I usually put it in like a pan or a pie dish or something like that to let it set and drain. And then about, like I said, twice, 2 to 3 times a day, just come by and rinse it. You don't want them to dry back out. You want them to sort of stay moist. That's the key. So if you're in a hot van in a hot area, you may have to rinse them 4 or 5 times a day. I have. But, that's a good thing. You can always have fresh, produce right there, to where you can actually enjoy it and get a good, it's all about taste. Sometimes vegetables are hard to keep on hand. But if you get a system and you get about 6 of these, you can actually start rotating these things about every 2 days. And believe it or not, half of a jar or half of a quart of sprouts will actually make a nice little salad on the side, to just sort of perk your day up. So, and plus then you get all the benefits of the, enzymes and the vitamins that come from that. So consider that. Another one is, food storage is like nuts. You can use almonds and, store your almonds in there, or cashews or whatever you like on your nuts. You can make all kinds of, you can make nut butters, like peanut butter type nut butters, or you can make almond milks, like almond milk, cashew milk. All this comes from, and all it is just adding water and then adding a sweetener to it if you want it sweetened up. But that's enough, and I think I've done a little bit of video on some of that at one time. So look back in my archives, you can find it. I was talking about this line of stuff anyway. But things that you should keep on hand is like granola, just plain old granola. I mean, you'd be surprised how much energy this packs. It really packs a punch. I actually use this in my yogurt every morning, and I make my own yogurt on the truck. I make my own butter on the truck. I make my own cream cheese on the truck. I use, so I got yogurt, butter, I got sour cream, I've got cream cheese, and then I have one right here that I set a few of these out that I pulled out that I've made already. So I'll give you an idea of what this one. I don't edit, so I have to sort of do it in this fashion here for you, to be able to show you the different things you can actually make at. Now let's explain each step as I go. But all you use is bottled water and instant milk. Now I usually use this brand because it's a lot cheaper, but this is just a no-name brand. but you can find that pretty much on the box stores. The only thing you want to look at is on the back. Make sure the ingredients is milk. That's it. You don't want really anything else in it. You know, there's a lot of things out there. They always want to put a chemical in there or whatever, some stabling agent or whatever. Just get milk. If you ever get a chance to start a yogurt thing, if you ever get a chance to get good cultured yogurt, the best way to do that is to find milk right out of the cow. So if you can get a little bit of milk right out of the cow, you make butter out of it one time. Well, that buttermilk itself, that when it breaks, see, this is just milk was poured into this jug, and I shook this for 22 minutes, vigorously shook this thing this morning for 22 minutes. I mean, just as hard as I could. Eventually, it separated, and then all of a sudden, now you see the little liquid in here. You see the little liquid that come in here. That bulk in there is the butter. Now this liquid here is the buttermilk. Now if you take that buttermilk and you add it to regular milk, then what happens is when it starts to cure over time, it'll actually, this is your live cultures. So this is how you would actually start off, you know, from scratch. This is how you would start off from just plain milk. This is a lot of people, you know, show videos on how to make yogurts and stuff, but then they say, well, you take a culture of some already store-bought yogurt, and that's how you start your yogurt. Well, that's all right. That's like sort of like sourdough, but you want the people never ever explain to you how you get the actual cultures, the live cultures in the first place. Well, that comes in your milk as well. It's just not pasteurized, and that's how they get those live cultures to bring over to other products. Then you take, let's say the butter. I'll open it up here so you can sort of see it. Yeah, it's butter in there. Now we'll take see, good old butter. Yep, tastes just like butter. Now remember, this is non-salted butter. It has no flavor, pretty much. I think it's pretty much dead, you know, when you make it this way. But if you like salt in your butter, then all you do is put I usually put about a half of a teaspoon or so in there of just iodized salt, and you just sort of whip it up in there and you mix it and just keep smashing it in there, and it actually just salts this here. So if you take the buttermilk and you pour it into another one of these jugs to start off with, and then fill it up with regular powdered milk. This will make 1 quart, so this will make enough to do 2 of them at one time. All right, one little package will make 1 quart. They come in different. You can get them in big bulk, but you know, sizes where you can measure it out yourself. I usually just get the ones with the packs in case I open it up, and then I can just, my packs are still sealed. But that's what I use. So you take this here and you pour it in there, and then what you do is this is how you make yogurt. So you pour that in there and you make up your dried, you know, your dried milk. Put it in there, and then you let it set. What I do, see, a lot of people will say, well, you got to heat the thing up. The reason they're heating it up, you know, up to a high temperature or even to a boil, is they're pasteurizing. Is what they're doing. They're killing off any bacteria that are in there. But if you sterilize all your jars and you keep yourself clean and you sterilize before you do it, then you're really not going to bring over too much or any problems with bad bacteria. I mean, but you can always tell if it smells bad, throw it away. Don't use it. That's just simple. That's just simple knowledge, you know, that people use. But this is my cream cheese, or excuse me, my yogurt. As you can tell, it's nice and thick, you know, and it's just plain yogurt, no taste. Now, it's easy to give this a flavor. You know, like if you wanted to go into making your own, then you can add like vanilla to it, cinnamon or peach flavor, any kind of flavor you want. You can add raw fruits to it, dried fruits. is another good thing. I use granola. That's what I do, is put my granola down. And I put my granola, this is one ready to eat. See, I got my granola at the bottom. And I made this last night. And as it comes down here, you know, it sits there. And then what I do, when I open it up for breakfast time, I take this open. And I take my spoon. And I, just like any of those store-bought ones, you know, you got to sort of mix it up, you know. But you come out and you can actually have granola in your yogurt. Very nice and tasty. The one I use, that really makes it nice and sweet. You know, it gives that little extra sweetness. And this is the honey roasted, it's like the Cheerios. Honey bunches of oats. So it's got a little bit of sweetness to it. It's got the oats and the honey and, you know, different things in there. So that's what I like to use in mine. So, you know, you can use anything. Sometimes I'll get blueberries and put in there too, because I do like blueberries. But anytime you have fresh fruits that you can grab a hold of, peaches, oranges, things that you can last in your van, apples, slice it up, you know, cut it up in little chunks, put it in your yogurt. You'd be surprised. This is a good, healthy breakfast. And it's fulfilling for you for the day. So don't be afraid to try this and use this method. Since you're in the heat of your van. Now I'm in Florida, so I'm sort of lucky. I don't have to heat mine all the way up to 110 or 180 degrees, you know, as I'm living off of natural cultures. Now if I wanted to be a little bit quicker and safer, yes, I can just go to any box store, pick up a small thing of just plain yogurt, Greek yogurt or whatever. It's already pasteurized, so it won't, you know, and what you do, you can take that yogurt and you can bring it back in here and you can culture it. And you can just add a little bit, like I'd use like 2 or 3 spoonfuls right into my regular milk. And then you just put it up, just stir it in, blend it up real well, and let it sit. You're going to have to let that set probably about 12 hours overnight. So if you do it overnight, by in the morning you're going to have yogurt. It won't be chilled, but it'll be yogurt. If you use, I dropped 2 of my little ice cubes from my ice machine. I put those in there and I'll stir them up, let them melt and stir them up. Thins it out a little bit, but it does sort of cool it off. And then I add my granola to that. And at that time, if I'm making 2, I'll split it up in half and half. And I'll put my granola in there and my yogurt. And then I'll eat one and I'll put one in the refrigerator for the next day. And I can just keep rotating like this. You see what I'm saying? But then you can, let's say you can carry milk a little even farther. People don't know you can do all this with dry milk. And that's what I'm telling you. You can do it with regular milk too. But the dry milk's just the same. All it is they dehydrate all the water out of it is what it is. So don't be afraid to think that it's something different that it ain't going to work. I like dehydrated milk to actually cream my coffee, believe it or not. I mean, you know, you don't get the water, you get nice concentration. It actually does really well as a cream for your coffee. The next round that I go is I go on and the next day I'll make cream cheese. Now it's like just like Philadelphia cream cheese, and I'll show you that. That's what it looks like in there. And you have to let this drain. So the cream cheese, see, it stands up just like good cream cheese. Great for bagels. Great for a lot of cakes or whatever you want to bake. I mean, that's good tasting stuff, dude. I mean, you're in civilization. If you can carry this out in the middle of the woods and do it out in nowhere, or right out of the back of your van, and it's no problem. It's just a little bit of prep. But you know what I made this for? For this. I made all these products. All these products right here came from one of these. One of these right here is $1.37 or 39 cents, I think it was. I believe that's what it was when I paid for it. Just one. those are even cheaper. Those are like $1.60 for 3 times as much. So, I mean, so you're probably 50 cents a day, you know, is what you would end up using to have milk for your cereal, whatever you want to do it with. You know, you can process it and do all this. Now, like I said, your yogurts, I use the screen method as well, just like I do my sprouting. And I turn this up and I put it on top of 2 little rings of the open rings like this, you saw me. I'll set those in a little pan, and I'll take this and I'll invert it right over top of them. You know, settling on both sides. So you have a ring here and a ring here, and they're just sitting there. And that yogurt will actually drain. And it continues to drain. It continues to drain. The more it drains, the harder it gets. And then the next day, it's usually about 24 hours after your yogurt's made, and it starts turning into the cream cheese. And then that cream cheese will do really well. About add another 6 hours past your yogurt, and it starts to sour a little bit, and then that's where you get your sour cream. And then if you want to, let's say your butter, you can take your butter. This one's the butter. If you want this to last, butter will last with no refrigeration for about, probably I wouldn't use it, probably about 3-4 days. I wouldn't go really any farther than that. You don't have to, because you make such a small amount. You can put half a cup in there and make butter out of it. You'll just get just enough butter there is. That's probably about maybe 1 stick, half a stick or so, out of that. But, compared, so it's not a lot of butter, but it's enough you can use that day. Say you want it on a nice baked potato, great. I mean, that's stuff good. Now, if you really wanted to get a bigger jar and process this, yes, you can make butter. But, what you do is you take that butter that you just made, you put it in a pot, you turn it on, and you start bringing it up to a boil. Not a hard boil, but a soft boil. And then you just boil it until it turns clear. Now, it'll foam up a couple times and it'll foam back down. You can scoop the foam off if you want. It's no big deal. But what you're trying to do is to break the fats away. And once you break the fats away, the fats are the little white stuff that floats around in there. You can take it all the way down to, like they call it, clarified butter. Then, you take that clarified butter and you clarify it on down to where it's clear. And that's what they call the old time, many generations and probably years, probably thousands of years they've been doing it. But it's called ghee. And ghee is actually shelf stable forever. I don't think it has a bad date. I don't think it does. I think it's almost like an oil. It gets a really good, shelf stability. And it's something you can store butter forever. It's got a very strong, pungent butter flavor. That's what I love about it. It really intensifies that flavor. I'll tell you what it's almost like. It's almost like the stuff you put on popcorn, the spray. That's sort of the strength of the pungentness that it has. And it really got a great flavor. It's great for seafood like lobster and shrimp dip. You dip your lobster in there, you dip your crab in there, or whatever. It's wonderful. And you can warm it back up and serve it hot. You can take it and pour it right over your baked potato and get your butter flavor there. I've even taken it and put it in a little spray bottle and use it on my bagels and my toast and stuff in the mornings. And then it's the same as butter. So like I said, it's just already melted. So these are a few things that you can think of, that you can bring these. The more you process this is in different products. And they're really not using very much extra to really make a product out of it. It's mostly just time and letting nature do its work. But the biggest thing that I've found on it is when you, to get something that you might like, I mean, just like your cream cheese, you can flavor that as well. Honey and nuts. You can put chives in there. You can put what's that stuff, like the salmon, that's what a lot of people use. You can use pretty much any flavor that you could dream up in your mind. You can do it. Brings us back to the butter. You can do the butter the same way. You want to get something real fancy, do a real fancy dinner for somebody, and you want to show off your culinary skills, make compound butter. It does great for different recipes too. And compound butters, you take garlic or you take chives or whatever, cilantro or whatever herb or spice you want to have, and you can put in that regular butter, that regular unsalted butter, and you just work it and you smash it in there and you just keep working it together until you have it all really bonded together, and then form it back out, put it in a nice little ramekin or whatever, and then that's your flavored butter for the night, that you use for that dinner. That's what they call compounding butter. So, like I said, in using your chef abilities, it's just creativity, a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of research. These are things that you can really come across to really enhance, your abilities. And plus, it makes your life a whole lot nicer. You can really enjoy living out in the back. That's why I tell you, don't live in the van. Get out and live life, man. That's what it's all about. Live your life. Enjoy your life. Have friends over. Invite them over for a yogurt. Invite them over for a nice breakfast with regular, homemade butter. And when they can see you do this, man, it just impresses you, especially if you're a guy and you're single and you're trying to pick up chicks. This kind of stuff just makes chicks just go limp. I'm telling you, they're just crazy. They think you're just like a hidden god somewhere. No, seriously. But, that's what it's all about, guys, is to have fun with it and enjoy what you do. But hopefully you can take some of this information, and all you're doing is storing dry packaged butter or milk and dry packaged granola and bottled water. With that right there, you can literally have anything and everything I showed you today. So, in the process, I'm going to... Did I show you? Yeah, I showed you all of it. I showed you the cream cheese too, right? Yep, I did. Well, anyway, I'm going to get back to here to enjoying my breakfast and getting more into this this here granola. So I think it's something that's going to set me just fine this morning. So, see ya. I only knew how good this is. Are you still there? Oops. Sorry. See ya.